Hey guys, welcome to the shop. So today we're looking at some kind of retro inspired builds. Now, this was my first retro AR-15 I slapped together, and this is honestly PSA stuff. I can't tell you what I built this for because you'll cry. It's not possible at today's prices. And I like it. So at one point, I had parked this upper because I'd lost interest, and I threw together this upper. This is heavily inspired by the Canadian C7 and Colt Model 711s. So the Canadian C7 just had a heavier barrel than the Colt 711, but that's really one of the biggest differences in the late production 711s. The early production 711s had a non-brass deflector A1 style upper. This is a late model inspired one, and I haven't gotten around to putting a standard A2 flash hider on it. But one of the really cool things I think that has been lost in the last couple of years with AR-15s is really just like basic entry level, inexpensive kits. Now, I didn't pay retail prices for this, but I think if you paid retail prices, you could build this gun for about $700 if you waited for some sales, because I just did some math on it in pricing, and this is using a V5 car stock, which is more expensive than a lot of the other stocks, and that's what drives up the price on this, because that on its own, this stock is about $50. Now, you could put this gun together for not a lot of money. If you wanted a waffle stock, you can knock 25 or 30 bucks off the price. I mean, if you got a buddy, they might even give you one. Nobody wants waffle stocks. So it's pretty inexpensive to build. You know, these uppers can be had for $100, $120 on sale from Brownells. Now, some of them have M4 ramps, some of them don't. I have two. One has M4 ramps, one doesn't. One's an Anchor Harvey, one's a brass and aluminum forge and foundry. You don't know what you're going to get from Brownells, but honestly, they've all functioned for me. Some of them are prettier than others. I've used a few, and this is a Brownells 1 and 7 retro barrel, and that would originally had, where is it? This A1 style slip ring, which isn't correct for what I was originally planning with this upper, which is a Colt Model 711 late clone, which would have had an A2 furniture and A2 everything, A2 stock, A2 door, A2 grip, A2 handguards, and A2 flash hider. I lost interest in that and realized I like how the gun handles the carbine stock. I think they're a little bit lighter, and they swing better, and they certainly carry better. This is a fun gun for me to go hike into the mountains with one of my buddies, and we go shoot, a couple hundred yards. And that's actually one of the things I like about the pencil barrel guns is this weighs less than your average 16-inch rifle build now, because pencil barrel and the carbine stock. This is really, I think, as light as you can go if you want a 20-inch barrel on your rifle. I simply don't know how I'd cut more weight. And I mean, I guess I could go to an even lighter super pencil barrel, but at that point you're going to start having some issues. And I just love the retro AR aesthetic, and I grabbed bolt carrier and the buffer out of this gun because I want to talk about them. Now, a really good starting place, and this is just kind of a general rule of thumb I've found, with a rifle gas gun and a carbine lower, H2s almost always work well. And in this case it does. This is an H2 buffer, and I play musical springs because I have probably 20 carbine springs, because everyone wants to go to the spring codes, and like I have friends who run AR-15 centric shops, and they just give me what they perceive as their junk parts. So I do a lot of junk bin builds for myself, and I have no problem with them. And I have absolutely no idea what brand this is. I got this from Primary Arms or Brownells. I assume this is a Brownells bolt carrier, and we'll talk about that later. But I don't like to go with a super heavy spring, because that can cause battering issues on the receiver, and that can put excess wear on your bolt itself when it's getting slammed into battery. But some springs are softer than others, so I would say this is like a Springco White equivalent. At least it feels the same. And I wanted to talk about bolts because this seems to be one of the big issues that we see with AR-15s, or at least I see reliability wise, is people buying nitrided bolts are super cheap. So they're machined with the same size bore as you should have for a chrome lined bolt instead of a couple thousand smaller. So they leak a lot of gas. And I've had a couple where I assume the high end is acceptable tolerance. So you basically have no gas ring seals, and it's like running the gun with completely worn out gas rings. And that can cause some reliability issues with some milder ammunition. Now in the US that steel case 223 is off the market, we're seeing less of that because what's available now, even it nominally 223 is running a little bit closer to 5.56 pressures instead of like the bottom end. Steel case 223 was generally speaking very mildly loaded ammunition and had some reliability issues inherent because of that. So those nitrided bolts I think are less of an issue, but I'm still not big on them. I do think a chrome lined phosphated M16 style bolt carrier group is really what you should use 99% of the time. I've never bought into the super lightweight adjustable ones, and I honestly think the coatings are a little bit overrated. If these are running on a film of oil and you should be cleaning your guns regularly, it's a non-issue. Now, all this being said, I have nitride bolt carrier groups in most of my AR-15s now. I can't really rationalize replacing them because they've been reliable and I don't have issues with them. It's just going forward, as I build new guns, I'm going to be sticking with chrome-lined phosphated bolt carrier groups. I've just been seeing and hearing of fewer issues with them from customers in other shops that specialize more in AR-15s. And part of that is these are slightly more expensive. This is a HPT MPI Carpenter 158 bolt, and it's chrome, so that makes it more expensive than the nitride bolt carrier groups. And one of the big drivers behind people buying nitrided bolt carrier groups is just because they're the absolute cheapest possible combination of parts you can get. So there's a bit of a race to the bottom. I mean, these, if I bought the cheapest nitride bolt carrier group in 2025, I can find them for about $60 plus shipping. This was $115 or $120 bolt plus shipping. And these can be had for as cheap as $95 on sale, but I'm not going to use the prices I paid because I do buy everything on sale, and I like to stack sales on top of dealer discounts I get. So what I paid is irrelevant. It's really what retail price is and what they're available for. Now, AR-15s I think are going to come down in price in the next couple of years. I do honestly believe they're a little bit played out, and the retro fad right now is a little bit of the last gasp of a platform people are losing interest in. So that's just my opinion, especially with all of the not AR-15s that have been announced at SHOT Show right now. I think those are really exciting, and I look forward to seeing more of those. Unfortunately, I don't think I can justify the purchase of any of those at this time, but you know, we'll see in the future. Now, I'm debating if I can get my friend to come with me. We might film shooting some of these and you know, kind of talking about them and comparing them to a more modern gun. Now, my friend, I love him to death, but he really only likes to buy super cheap ARs. And I don't blame him for that because we are allowed to like garbage, but I think he's a little bit too much of a trash cannon connoisseur, and I'm trying to convince him that there is a better way. But, you know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Now, I like ease-aux for guns that I know I'm going to have sit for a while or take out into really bad conditions, because this dries. Now, you don't want to get it on your hand. You'll see him being pretty ginger with it, not spreading it out. It is one of the more toxic gun lubes out there, but it is certainly one of the best rust protectants. So, yeah, you know, I'm trying to convince him to at least go into like the $600 price range. He's got a couple of guns. He bought some Arrow on closeout with a 16-inch carbine gas H-bar barrel and a rail I didn't even know they made anymore for like $300 during election season. So he really truly just loves garbage, and that's okay. I like garbage too, I just don't love it. And he shot a couple of my ARs and was like, oh, these are a lot nicer to shoot. Like, it's more accurate, the trigger's better. And it's like, yeah, because I didn't buy the absolute cheapest thing. You know, if you wait, you can get some pretty good stuff thrown together. So, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this little ramble on retro-styled ARs on a budget. It's just, these are a lot of fun, and they're a little bit different than what we see at the range every day, and they're certainly different than what I see at my shop. I've only seen a couple flat top FSB uppers through here, and the other one actually made it to YouTube. That was another PSA.